Frieren's first season has been dethroned and reclaimed by Frieren Season 2. The second season of Frieren Beyond Journey's End has begun airing. The overall quality of the anime remains top notch. Will Frieren win Anime of the Year or will it get robbed? I guess we will. Nah, I don't really care. The first episode is nothing short of beautiful. In a world full of noise, dopamine chasers, and hooligans, I've always loved how slow and purposeful the story can be. It picks off in ISAST after the first class mage exam. Fern was one of the qualified members to pass and earn the title First Class Mage by Zarya. The three continue their journey to reach Oriel. When Frieren and the gang are being transported to their destination, the wagon serves as a callback to the first episode of Season 1, back when Frieren and the party of heroes were traveling to the city looking for jobs. Coincidentally, Stark mentions that they're low on cash, so the group must look for work at a nearby town. The way the crew has always secured funds was by taking quests, helping the village folks, and commissions to slay nearby monsters. Pretty normal fantasy stuff. I've recently been playing D&D with my friends, and my character just so happens to be a robot elf named Goji. We are playing in a cyberpunk dystopian campaign, and my character just so happens to share a lot of characteristics with the famous elf. Totally not inspired by Frieren, I just wanted to share it with you guys. When Stark is attempting to fish and Fern prepares their meals, they both notice something unusual about Frieren. She's usually sleeping until noon, yet she seems to have found something valuable. Frieren has always had a keen interest in collecting trinkets, books, and anything of obscure value. Not even Stark and Fern understood the significance of Frieren's little hobby. I guess they've never found a cool looking stick in the forest and saved it as a sword. That's what happens when you grow up with stinky old men. Frieren reveals a shiny blue stone which has the ability to negate magic within a 3-meter radius. This stone would be really fun as an ability or skill, but to the group, it's just a hindrance to their travels. Fern wants that stone out of Frieren's hands, so Frieren just channels her mana into the stone in a flashbang. And it's still glowing from afar. If I was Frieren, I would definitely grab as many as I can just to chuck my mana imbued stones at monsters.
Okay, and then what do I do after?
During the very still scenes, I've noticed the details in the art. I think it's really cool that the show incorporates the use of very soft watercolor brushstrokes as the background. The art style is recognizable and consistent. If you take a look at the new visuals for the ending, it looks like one of those 2D stop motion animations. I found out that the artist named Mime Aome drew everything using colored pencils on paper. Yes, the visuals you see were traditionally hand-drawn on a flipbook. Hand-drawn. This is art at its finest. Even I can't even... Dude, coloring just takes too long. Something that I feel is common among recent anime is a need to pertain to global standards. What I mean is anime like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, Demon Slayer are trying to produce new seasons with top dog quality to appeal more to the Western audience. Since companies like MAPPA and Ufotable with their recent movies on Reze Arc alongside Infinity Castle, they are making a ton from North America. So every new season is being optimized to the West. Director Keiichiro Asaito said, "I've had the opportunity to attend overseas conventions and interact with overseas fans, and I have a vague feeling that the Japanese anime that the overseas fans go crazy about may be a little biased. Popular things are to be expected." For those on the creative side, he mentions that there seems to be a disconnect between a fixation on popularity and originality, emphasizing on the popular aspect for a greater ROI. Frieren's consistency in the visual quality, narrative, characters makes it very refreshing in hindsight of the pursuit for popularity. There's a reason why it's number 1 on Mal, even though I don't really agree that it deserves to be number 1, just for personal reasons. Frieren notices that the ground is a little uneven. In a split second, the ground collapses and the mages swiftly hover over the pit. Remember that blue stone from maybe 5 minutes ago? The three fall down to the cave, and what surrounds them is an abundance of bigger magic nullifying crystals. Yeah, poor Stark, man, he didn't deserve any of this. As the three take a gander, Frieren mentions that these crystals are on the rarer end, but since they can't be broken down or processed, they hold no value as currency. I would love to see one of those crystal enemies appear from Clair-Obscur and just force them to fight that crystal. That would be funny. The character focus of the episode seems to center around Stark. Ever since the first class mage exam arc, Stark hasn't been in the spotlight much since he wasn't even eligible to participate in the final last episodes. Everyone knows that Stark is a warrior, so he was kinda just chilling in the town, you know, probably meditating in the mountains, sharpening his skills. The three decide to set up camp in the cave, despite the clear disadvantage they have against any monster that deems them as food. Frieren, for some reason, put a lot of faith into Stark. This was evident in the flashback when Aizen felt dumbfounded as to why Himmel fully trusted him with his life. In dangerous situations, both Aizen and Stark would prefer to run away. so it was a bit unusual for their comrades to rely on them that much when one would typically fend for themselves. Just like the party of heroes, Stark ran away from a poisonous monster while carrying Frieren and Fern. Parties don't function otherwise. Never doubt the mind of an elf that's over 1,000 years old. Frieren only sees potential in Stark. It's normal to be afraid, and her constantly putting Stark in clutch situations shows how reliable he is as their frontliner. When they stumble in an inn, the party encounters Verbal and his group. If I recall, Verbal was among the few that was appointed as a first-class mage. He tries to convince Stark to join as a frontliner in the Northern Magic Corps, only needing him for a couple of years to fend off the demons in his hometown. Frieren believes that her party is only holding him back, so later that night she attempts to ask him and he immediately tells her that he's staying. Something that I've noticed based on Fern and Frieren's reaction is that they didn't even try to beg or pull Stark back into their group. Stark believes that yes, Frieren's test of courage with the dragon prompted him to join, but only until Fern's gentle encouragement did he decide that their party was meant for him. He only wishes that she acts nicer towards him. The fact that Fern willingly wanted to show affection to Stark, even treating him like a pet, is, I guess, a step forward. Their openness to communicate and display affection is already a big leap in contrast to the relationship in the first season. They had so much bickering in season 1, it's good to know that in the first episode, they're at least not arguing. That night, we can see Fern admiring the jewelry that she got from her 2 party members. Fern was never the type to openly express her own emotions to anybody. She's a solemn and reserved girl that honestly takes after Frieren's stoic nature. When she preserves and keeps her gifts in good condition, it's like her way of saying thank you. She expresses her care in these subtle ways, and it shows how thoughtful she can be outside of her cold exterior. The extra FOV of Fern clenching onto her bracelet as her lucky charm is a beautiful way to characterize her humanity. The second season has already done a great job in giving the characters a lot more color. Stark looks a lot more comfortable in the group. Thanks to Sign, I think his chemistry with Fern is past the bitter stage at the very least. As for Frieren, she's even learning to pick up social cues, which is wild to me.